What's going on, y'all? I'm slouching a little bit today because I'm putting my foot up so it gets back to full health so I can walk again. I got about 6 stories of the day for today. First story I want to talk about is Trump nominates Judy Shelton to the Federal Reserve. Trump has been not quiet and not shy about taking on the Federal Reserve head on. Pretty awesome, and a lot of people won't report that, so I'm going to do that. Second story of the day is Trump sets a record high stock market, as he's done many times, but I don't just want to talk about it. I want to show you the reporting of CNN in 2016 to now, and also a Nobel Peace Prize winning economist and his awful takes, not only on the internet, but on President Trump as well. It's pretty hilarious. More stories than that. Third story of the day is Trump and Iran. Fourth story, I want to talk about Megan Rapinoe and the media reporting around it. Her girlfriend, Sue Bird, put out a Trump effing hates my girlfriend, and it's not even remotely true. It's like, I just want to take a minute to debunk that ridiculous lie. The fifth story I want to talk about is the little Kaepernick thing. I don't want to talk about it much because everybody's spending too much time on it, and we all know already that Nike pretty much works with low-wage labor in Asia and then comes over here and sells the woke Americanness to. And the final story I want to talk about is the Democratic Party is collapsing. It's turning into socialism, communism, and you got people like Morning Joe and even Joe Biden are kind of confused because they're like, do I go full communist or do I try to be normal? They've lied so much that they don't know which way to go, and I predicted this a year or two ago. Not that it's even that special. I'm sure people who follow me have predicted this for 10 and 20 years, including Reagan had a really good quote about how if fascism ever comes to the United States, it's going to come from the left, because that's the idea of big government control.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Anyway, we'll get into all that. Let's just start with the first story. So Trump has not been shy at going head-to-head with the Federal Reserve. He's tweeted about it multiple times. He's talked about it in interviews, and recently he has nominated Judy Shelton to the Federal Reserve. So I wanted to check her out. I'm like, who's Judy Shelton? Hopefully she's somebody who's cool and not like an insider, you know, drain the swamp, that's the thing. So this is right off her Wikipedia. This is pretty hopeful. Shelton has been mentioned as a potential nominee for the Federal Reserve Board. She is a known critic of the Federal Reserve. In 2019, she said that she hoped for a new Bretton Woods-style conference where countries would agree to return to the gold standard, saying, if it takes place at Mar-a-Lago, that would be great. And then it says Mar-a-Lago is a club run by President Trump. So she's a big critic of the Federal Reserve, and she wants to go back to the gold standard, which I don't think that's what the Federal Reserve wants to do. So it looks like a huge win. I thought that was pretty funny. She's like, let's just go back to the gold standard and, you know, we'll do it at Mar-a-Lago. I was like, I like this woman already. It seems to be what a lot of people around the world, like Gaddafi and such, were like, hey, I'm going to go back to the gold standard. And the U.S. was like, nah, we're going to pretend like Al-Qaeda and ISIS have something to do with Libya and Iraq and, you know, go there. So it's good news, but also Trump is a legend, like I've been saying for a while. You might not like him, disagree with certain things, but overall, he's already done like 100 legendary things that Obama never would have done, Bush never would have done, no other Republicans even close to Trump. Like people, I kind of like Rand Paul a little bit, but even Rand Paul, like I don't like him nearly as much as Trump. So I'm pretty pumped that he's doing that with the Federal Reserve. If you go deeper than the media narrative, you'd understand how huge that is, because when the feds raise the interest rates, they can pretty much manipulate and crash the whole economy or raise the whole economy whenever they want. And the money system, as far as, you know, where it roots to, it's a big deal. It's bigger than just like, my feelings are hurt because I feel like I'm 20,000 genders at once. That's not what it's about. All this modern day activism, whether it's racial activism or sexual activism, if you trace the roots of it, you usually lead back to some sort of Democratic Party operative group that's trying to use the specific gender or race and manipulate it. So I'm all for some good activism, but you kind of find out that a lot of that stuff never gets to the core, like something like the Federal Reserve. You're not going to hear that at the Women's March or, you know, a certain racial march or whatever. On that same note, CNN and others were forced to report today that the stock market hit a record high. This has happened a lot. The Dow, the NASDAQ, it all just hit a record high today. And it's funny because if you listen to them in 2016, like a lot of people did, you thought the economy was going to crash and get destroyed because of President Trump, because that's what CNN was saying. But if you could see in the ratings here as well, CNN's getting absolutely crushed because even left-leaning people are starting to wake up to the point of CNN is lying to you. They lied about Mueller report. They lied about Trump. I'm not sure what they don't lie about. Very, very rarely they don't lie, and then they get backlash because they've lied so much. Their only audience is like literally unhinged. Today on Twitter, someone acknowledged to me that seemed left-leaning. They're like, TDS, which is Trump derangement syndrome, has rotted our brains. I was like, dude, respect for admitting that, because a lot of people won't admit that. It's like, it is rotting your brain. CNN, MSNBC, a lot of these news stations, it's just constant negativity, fear, selling crappy pharmaceutical pills in the commercials, and then nonstop lies in a lot of ways. So another leading economist who said that Trump was going to crash the stock market and crash the economy is Paul Krugman, who somehow won a Nobel Prize in economy. And I looked at one of his quotes. I saw this from my man Jim Bob on Instagram. It says, by 2005 or so, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machine. So his insight, his, sage prophet-like insight was like, the internet's going to be no different from the fax machine. And if you live in reality today, you'd understand that internet is 10 million times more impactful than the fax machine. It's absolutely not only changed the economy, but taken over the economy. It's created millions upon millions of new jobs. It's pretty much revolutionized every single industry. So the fact that this guy won a Nobel Peace Prize, said that that was going to happen with the internet, even me when I was 12 years old, I remember learning about how people were buying and selling domains for a lot of money. And I was thinking, as a kid, I was like using it. I was like, wow, I can do this for the rest of my life. I was like, I could make $1 million on the internet. That's what I was thinking when I was 12 or 10 years old. So it's like I had more insight than this guy. He's got a Nobel Peace Prize, and he's still getting published left and right. Trump will bring global recession, not just a recession to our economy. So it's like these people get the wars wrong. They lie us into Iraq. They lie us into Libya. They lie about everything. They lie about the economy. And then not only did they not get fired or they not get called out, they just keep getting paid and keep getting used. It's like if you lose every single game in the NBA, or it's like, is every single player going to get a max contract the next year? Probably not, unless they're really good. These people are not good, and they have no insight, no vision. They lie constantly. They have bad intel or fake intel sometimes, and then they just keep getting used as like a trusted source by fake news media, and that's why Trump calls them that, and so do a lot of other people. So overall, the stock market's up, and you know the drill. These people are still lying. I just thought this one was funny because he's literally got a Nobel Peace Prize. Next thing I want to talk about is Trump and Iran. And I have a very different take than a lot of people on this, and I know it might bother a few, but just hear me out, and then you could take what I say and put it next to what other people say, and then you could figure it out for yourself. But Trump is talking very bullish in Iran, and if you really put the pieces together, so Obama did a really bad Iran deal. In my personal perspective, it was a bad deal. Trump canceled the deal, and then Trump put sanctions on Iran. So you got to understand, Iran not only has the money that they had that Obama gave them, not only do they not have that money that was frozen, I think they let it go and then they refroze it. But now that we're crippling their economy, and we're proudly doing so, we're crippling you. My question is, and I know a lot of conservatives and Trump supporters don't want to hear this, but why wouldn't they enrich uranium? Like, why would they stop doing something that would make them more powerful or a bigger threat? Because it's like U.S. crushing your economy, U.S. taking away the money that you had before. I'm not saying it was a good deal. I'm saying it's a bad deal. But what I'm saying is, as somebody who does support President Trump, you need to make a deal with them. You need to give them some sort of incentive to, not do this. Because Trump's like, I'll squash you. This is going to be the worst thing ever. But it's like, I'm starting to think that Trump is really not understanding Iran. I think he's buying into a lot of his buddies in Israel and Saudi Arabia and these people that have a bigger agenda for Iran. You notice as soon as we stop attacking Syria, they have a gas attack, which I'm just going to say is probably a total lie. I mean, you could look it up yourself, but Trump says he got rid of the ISIS caliphate. Then he says he's going to pull troops back, and then all of a sudden Syria just gasses its own citizens randomly, and then we're going to stay there. It's a total lie. And now you could see in the news a couple days ago that Israel's attacking Syria. If Israel wants to fight Iran and Syria, that's fine. If Israel wants to fight Iran, that's fine as well. But I just don't understand from an American point of view, how in the world we expect them to get rid of their uranium. You know, Gaddafi, Saddam, any president or any leader ever that we invaded their country or started, you know, battling with, we never really follow through. Even Trump admits that Libya was a mistake. He admits that Iraq was a mistake. He admits that Afghanistan was a mistake. Trump admits that Syria was handled improperly. So seeing all of this stuff, why would Iran, while they're getting sanctions put on them, just be like, oh yeah, we're going to stop enriching uranium, which could help us in multiple ways? I don't understand it. And I know a lot of Trump supporters and conservatives are not going to hear that out, or they don't care. They're going to be like, Iran, bad. They're a huge threat. And, you know, they're doing all this and that. But here's my thing. I listen to what Trump says. I listen to what the guy from Iran says. And he's basically like, dude, we got sanctions on us. Like, until you take them off, we're not going to listen. So my thought is I want Trump to do what he did in North Korea. When it came to North Korea, you had the mainstream media. You had all of these people surrounded with Trump. They didn't want him to make a deal with North Korea. They didn't want him to talk to Kim Jong-un. They didn't want that phone call to happen because they probably knew if Trump talks to him, it won't be that hard to solve. Trump's a negotiator, and I don't think Kim Jong-un really wants the sauce. So Trump did that in North Korea. I personally think Trump can do that in Iran. Say, listen, buddy, sit down with your boy from Iran and say, I understand Obama gave you a bad deal. We're not going to do that. Sanctions are crippling you, but here, I'll take off the sanctions if you do this. I'm not saying Trump has to do what Obama did and hand them billions of dollars, but don't crush their economy and then act like, why are they upset? It doesn't make sense to me the more I look at it, and I haven't really seen a rational reason besides, well, they're not listening. They didn't listen. I'm not saying they did, but Trump can definitely make a deal and give them a reason besides crippling them, threatening them, you know, having Israel shoot down their stuff in Syria, which, like I said, if Israel wants to fight with Iran in Syria, that's fine. But I don't think America needs to get involved unless they, you know, really need to. And right now, it seems like we're sanctioning them. We're not giving them really any other options. And Trump, at this moment, doesn't seem like he wants to. And I'm listening to the dude from Iran. I'm not saying that Iran's perfect. I'm not saying that I trust the president of Iran. What I am saying before we move on is President Trump needs to talk to him, strike a deal, lift the sanctions, get their economy moving. I know he could do it, but I'm not sure that Trump really wants to do it, and I'm not sure that the people around Trump really want peace in that situation. But like my man's Julian Assange, he's not really my man's. I'm like, if there's people watching that, they're like, oh my God, Anomaly knows Assange. Let's investigate him. No, I don't know. I don't literally know Assange, but I'm saying what Assange said when he had a Twitter. Before he got taken off, he said Trump did great work in North Korea. If Trump can stop a war with Iran, he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. And it's true. If Trump can avoid war with Iran, I will be very, very impressed. I'm already impressed, but just to be honest, I would be solidified. I'd be like, this dude is, you know, the realest of the realest of the real, doing the unthinkable. He already is, but this is a must. We can't have a World War III style battle with Iran, and I would hate to see us do what we did in Afghanistan and Libya and Iraq and Syria, which President Trump himself knows not only didn't help that country, didn't help our country, didn't help stabilize the region whatsoever. This is going to be much worse because Iran is actually much more stable than a lot of these other countries, and it has, you know, nice cities and stuff. It's even Syria has some nice parts. They won't put it on TV. My buddy lives there. It's got a lot of nice stuff, but Iran's would be much, much worse, and a lot of people know that. Next thing I want to talk about is Megan Rapinoe and her girlfriend Sue Bird. I mean, I'm supporters of both of them. I love basketball. I love soccer. I always want to see the United States do good, but I don't understand why they're lying, and I just want to debunk it real quick, or at least show people both sides, because this hysterical victim playing, lying, you know, I'm liberal, I'm gay, I'm a woman, so I can lie with impunity and, you know, believe me at all costs, is a little creepy to me. I think right to a fair trial, but hear both sides is always the play. But what happened was Rapinoe was on, I'm going to play the video right now, I'll probably bleep it out. She got asked about going to the White House for some reason, and she said this.
Are you excited about going to the White House?
I'm not going to the White House. No, I'm not going to the White House. We're not going to be invited.
You're not going to be invited?
I doubt it.
Championship or bust.
And here's Donald Trump's response. He tweeted to it. He said, women's soccer player Megan Rapinoe just stated that she is not going to the effing White House if we win. Other than the NBA, which now refuses to call owners, please explain that. I just got criminal justice reform passed. Black unemployment is at its lowest level in our country's history, And the poverty index is also best number ever. Leagues and teams love coming to the White House. I am a big fan of the American team and women's soccer, but Meghan should win first before she talks. Finish the job. We haven't yet. Invited Meghan to the team, but I am now inviting the team, win or lose. Meghan should never disrespect our country, the White House, our flag, especially since so much has been done for her and the team. Be proud of the flag that you wear. The U.S. is doing great. So Trump pretty calmly responded. He said, listen, I'm doing a lot for these people. You guys never give me credit. He's like, you said you're not coming to the White House, but you got to win to come. He's like, be proud of yourself. I like women's soccer, and now I'm inviting you whether you win or lose. You could say what you want, but he's not being rude or mean, really. He's just like, this is my stance. I'm the president. Don't hate your country, and now you're invited. He's like playing the nice card. Like, you know what? I'll invite you whether you win or lose. How about that, since I like women's soccer and I want to talk to you. And Sue Bird, her girlfriend, who's also a great basketball player, really, really good. I'm a fan. She wrote this article, so the president effing hates my girlfriend. Sue, baby girl, Meghan, no disrespect. I know you guys are together. It was just a joke. I'm not trying to be sexist. I know tensions are very high now and emotions are very high. Can't really joke anymore, But how in the world did you get the president hates my girlfriend? So you disrespect the office, or your girlfriend disrespects the office, and she says, I'm not going to the effing White House. This is unprecedented. I mean, whether it was Bush, Obama, Clinton, and Bush was no hero, you could say he was, but Bush was no angel. Obama started, 6, 7 different wars, dropped gosh knows how many bombs, and the catch was, even with all those bombs dropped, nothing was getting better. So people say, well, Trump's dropping a lot of bombs. It's like, well, look at Syria. ISIS is gone. Syria has their country, and it's way better off than it was 3 or 4 years ago. So at least there's some progress being made. Troops are getting taken out. Obama's dropping all these bombs, and our wars are expanding all over the Middle East. Libya, they murdered, the leader, basically. They paid rebels to kill the leader of Libya, which then led to a power vacuum, and now there's slave trade and organ harvesting. So while people lie about slavery from 300 and 400 years ago, you can't even tell the truth about it. You can't tell who really sold slaves. They'll ban the books on Amazon. You can't say that it was multiple groups involved. You can't say who stopped slavery. You can't say what party, the Democratic Party, was behind it in the United States. None of that you could say. They just want to blame it on, right-wingers and say, well, slavery was bad, which everyone knows, but this happened, so it's all your fault. It's like, what about real slavery that happened today? I'm not saying that old slavery wasn't real, but you get. What about slavery that happened 5 years ago that's still going on today? What about human trafficking? Do you care about any of this stuff? Because there's still hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people enslaved literally, enslaved sexually and literally, and it's happening now, and you're ignoring it, and you're incentivizing it at the border, and you're supporting presidents who support it overseas and who made it happen, and you don't want to go to the White House, and you say that, and then the president says, I'll invite you, and then you write an article that says, so the president effing hates my girlfriend? Stop lying. This is why a lot of people are getting disgusted by the left. No one cares that you're LGBT. No one cares that you're a woman. No one cares that you're, an athlete. That's all awesome. But you write this unhinged article. It's kind of cute. I get what it's little jokes and stuff here or there. I'm reading it, but she's talking about these non-existent, wage gaps, equal pay debate. Here, I'll read it. If you're not on the right side of, let's see, I don't want Meghan to turn out to be an alien from another planet, but I'm just going to say the truth of how I feel right now. If you're good at penalty case, you're an effing alien from another planet. I had a long thing prepared here about the equal pay debate. I was planning on making some points and going on, but then I thought some more, and to tell you the truth, I'm kind of done with that. If you're not on the right side of this fight and advocating fiercely for equal pay, whether it's in soccer, basketball, or any other industry across, then I just straight up feel bad for you. So she's like, I was going to make a really good point about equal pay, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to say you're a bad person if you don't agree with me. No one even knows what you're talking about because you couldn't even come to your conclusion to write it in a huge article. It's not like you didn't have time. This article is one of the longest articles I've read recently, but this is kind of the new tactic. It's like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not articulate enough. The gap that I'm talking about is non-existent, or maybe it's for advertising purposes. Like if you talk about why the basketball wage gap is less, just look at the sales and the money that's coming in. It's a business, but now it's not because you can't call them owners. Now they're, except for Draymond Green, who was like he was one of the players that was like, they can't be owners, and then he has owner in his Twitter bio. It's like the hypocrisy and the delusion, which is why people worldwide are sprinting right wing for lower taxes, personal freedom, and honestly now just to stay moderate. It's like the left has gone so far off the deep end. If you don't hate America and love illegal immigrants and want to give them free health care while you don't even give your own citizens free health care, then all of a sudden you're a bigot, and it's ridiculous. So overall, Sue, just be honest. Megan, I'm rooting for you. I love America. I love women's soccer even. I've always loved the World Cup, men and women, and it's just kind of embarrassing when you say something, you kind of attack the president and the White House saying you're not going to go. The president responds calmly, and then you're saying, so the president, it's like punching someone, then being like, hey, you want to come over for dinner? And then being like, oh my God, he hates me. What, like, just stop lying. It's really annoying. And, that's my take on that. Next thing I want to talk about is the Colin Kaepernick drama. I'm going to sum it up quickly because I feel like a lot of conservatives are wasting way too much time and energy on this. So the story is, if you don't know, I guess there was the Betsy Ross American flag, the original that she, woman, one of the most influential, or at least probably famous OG women from America. So they were going to put it on a Nike shoe, and then the rumor or the word, according to Wall Street Journal and others, is Colin Kaepernick was like, yo, this is racist, so they're not going to put the old American flag on it, and they turned it down. Here's my thing. A lot of conservatives are all mad. We already did this last year, guys. We did this already. They already told us who they are. Nike is a company that is going to mask fake activism, fake social justice with a lot of anti-America vibes, a lot of anti-white vibes, to be honest, too. They're going to pander to the social justice movement, and you got to understand, it's not just Nike. They're just out there now. Every left organization is going to lose, because if you're moderate left, if you're right wing, you're right wing, or if you're like centrist or libertarian, or like, someone like Dave Rubin or whatever, it's like they already hate you. They think Dave Rubin is like a far right Nazi, even though he's a moderate, like left wing / right wing Jew, and he's somehow a far right Nazi. You get what I'm saying? But you're never gonna win unless you establish, I'm not part of you, which is the smartest thing you could do. As someone like Brandon Straka said, walk away. Or someone like Candace said, Blexit. Whatever you got to do, just get away. Make your own term for it. Because if you're on the left, you're going to lose. Like Nike, they pandered, and now they're never going to be able to pander enough. They can't use an American flag. They can't use this. You got to get away from the left, or at least stay neutral. Chick-fil-A's leveling up. They're like, listen, we're Christian. We make really good chicken as far as fast food goes, and we have really nice service, and it is what it is. And they're doing fine. All these other companies, either you stay moderate left, like now Morning Joe's trying to be moderate left, and he's like, what's going on with the Democratic Party? But my question to Joe and others are, it's your own fault. At this point, you have to reap what you sow. You lied about all this stuff. You lied about the Mueller report when you definitely know that other Republicans and Democrats have literal foreign ties. They've literally gotten tens upon hundreds of millions of dollars from foreign nations, and every single thing that you accused Trump of doing without evidence for 2 years, first of all, you found no crime. You're still trying to milk it, and you covered up other stuff when you know other people's dirt is way out there in the open. You don't even have to dig for it for a year. It's like, hello, you found me. You did this. You did this to yourself. You lied about Trump. You lied about the economy. You lied about racism. You lied about all this stuff. So now what do you expect? Of course, the kids and the youth and a lot of people are going to go towards the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because they've been lied to so much. They're just like grasping onto things. They know you're a lie, so they're grabbing onto her because she feels more authentic to them. But it's like, that's your own fault. I don't understand what Morning Joe thinks he's doing by trying to get him back. You sold out. So either you got to admit that you lied all that time and get normal, like mentally sane people to support you, or you're just going to be hated from both sides because you've lied for a year and now you're trying to do this. It's ridiculous. But with the Kaepernick thing, it's like, we know who Nike is. We already know who they are. They are social justice warrior. They're going to do 20,000 hijabs and, whatever the flavor of, and no disrespect to hijabs. If you're Muslim and you choose to wear a hijab, God bless you. It's all love for me. I'm just saying Nike, that's their whole vibe. It's like, look how trendy we are. Border, we love immigrants. Like, we all love immigrants. No one said, Trump said, I love immigrants. I have to do the job that Obama did, that Bush did, that everyone did, which is enforce legal immigration. If he's the president of the United States and he doesn't uphold the law, then he's not the president. Then he might as well just be a crappy security guard at a lame nightclub that costs $5 to get in. That's his job. So he does his job, and they're like, we love all immigrants. No one said they did. There's like very like 20 people who sit in like on 8chan who don't like any immigrants, or maybe there's a larger group than that, but 99.99% of people, including probably 98% of conservatives, 99% of conservatives, have no problem with immigrants at all. I mean, most people are immigrants, are sons of immigrants, yes, but illegal immigration should be a no-brainer. But it's like, we love immigrants. I already knew who Nike was, so if we're going to keep getting mad at them, don't buy them. Don't support them. They've already showed us this. We already did this a year ago where we're like, oh my God. And the big hypocrisy there is what I said last year. That's why I don't want to get too much into it, which is Nike pays really cheap Asian labor. Google it, how much they pay. They don't work in the United States. Then they come here with their cheap stuff that they could sell for $200 and make a fortune on, or $100, and they market to that community because that's the woke in-crowd sports celebrity community that 99% of them are either, half hiding in the shadows and don't want to say anything, but they're most just like zombies to the mainstream media and Democratic Party. They'll follow any social trend and they think that they're Martin Luther King and Malcolm X when they're not. So overall, it's like that's what Nike is. They're the people who, pay for cheap Asian labor, come here and exploit the black and LGBT community and Muslim community and act like they're woke and sell the shoes that they got off cheap labor to people who think that they're somehow changing the world, who support presidential candidates who have done the most or the worst stuff to the Middle East and most confusion, most, catastrophe, created the refugee crisis in the first place, which is not only destabilizing the Middle East, but the US, Europe, and Canada. It's like opposite world for them. So just step away. And I'm just talking about it a little bit because I could tie it into other things, but conservatives, in my personal perspective, they need to be a little less obvious. You could do what you want, but it's like posting memes about this stuff for 2 weeks. It just kind of gets old, and it's not very, it's just like, guys, don't even waste that much time. I will say though, Don Jr. posted a hilarious meme, and look at this one right here. Is it my fault? Is it my fault that Donald Trump and his son are two of the funniest people, and they're funnier than late night hosts? And I'm like, anomaly, you like Trump, so it's not my fault that Donald Trump's son is funnier than every late night host. They're like, Trump, Putin, Trump, Putin, Trump. You said it 50. We get it. You get your orders from your people that say we have to talk about this, or you're not going to be the puppet here anymore. We'll pay another puppet. So they talk about Trump. It's not my fault that Trump Jr. is funnier. But that was a good meme overall. This ties into my next thing. The Democratic Party is collapsing. And I want to read 2 tweets real quick. Thank you guys for staying. I know this is a longer stream, but, might as well get it in while it's hot. This is one tweet from, let's see, 2/9/19. So that was like 6-7 months ago, before they even started the debates. I said, the Democratic presidency run is going to be a total clown show. The people will want Tulsi Gabbard. The zombies will be programmed to hate Tulsi Gabbard. The media elites and celebrity puppets will pump Kamala Harris. Sit back and enjoy this show. That's before any debate. After the debate, Tulsi Gabbard went from unknown, nobody knew who she was, to the most searched person. You had Kamala Harris easily win that debate and be the most talked about and searched and money-raising debate. You had Joe Biden go from, I guess, lose 50% of his black support, according to some stuff, and it's no coincidence. I mean, I knew this stuff was going to happen 5 months ago, and I'm not even saying I have that much insight. It's just like, look at their whole platform, and you could see why Kamala Harris is going to win, and Tulsi Gabbard's going to be the one who people want, but they're going to fight against. This is another one from January 23rd of 2019, so almost 6 months ago. Martin Luther King Jr. said to judge people based on content of character, not skin color. The media brainwashed tens of millions of people into ignoring content of character to judge people solely by race and gender, and that's what the Democratic Party is now. He said, and I'm not even saying he's the be-all, end-all. I get there's other angles to it, but you're supposed to judge people based on the content of their character. That's how I do. That's what a lot of people do. It's like, if they're acting that way, it's not because of their skin color. It's like, I don't like you because I don't like you. If you do like, it's like, you're a good person. I have friends of every ethnicity who I like because I trust them. They're not annoying. They're helpful. They're friendly. They're, not, crazy or doing nutty stuff where you're like, dude, we're just trying to have a coffee. So that's what you're supposed to do. Judge based on content of character, not skin color. The media reversed it like they always do. They're subversive, and they told you judge by judge by skin color. If you're a black woman, if you're this or you're that, you're here. If you're this, you're here. If you're this, you're here. It's all a hierarchical scale of victim Olympics. It's like who's the biggest person oppressed based, and they'll even lie about their ethnicity just to get a higher victim card. And then people like Bernie Sanders won't even claim his victim card. Bernie's Jewish. He could easily say, I'm Jewish, I'm Jewish, I'm not an old white man, I'm Jewish. That would be the victim move if he's a left, but it's so funny that Bernie's such a self-hating socialist that he won't even claim his actual ethnicity. It's ridiculous. And then you got other candidates claiming ethnicities that they're not. And it's more than just Elizabeth Warren. So they told you, judge by and don't care about the content of their character, or your content of character doesn't matter now, because I've determined that your skin color makes the content of your character not matter as much or be lower. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to read it again. The media brainwashed tens of millions of people into ignoring content of character to judge people solely by race and gender. Kamala Harris is a genius pick for the mind control left. And you see what's happening now. This was 6 months ago. They're picking Kamala Harris. She wasn't the highest in the polls. Joe Biden was, Bernie Sanders was, but I guarantee you, by the end of these 2 weeks or 3 weeks, Kamala Harris is going to be polling the highest, or she's going to be the media darling, which she already is. We already know it. It's because not only is she a puppet, but she's a black woman. They have nothing to do with content of character. Nothing they do matters anymore. They've gotten so far radical. It's like they're just seeing how insane they could be if it panders to somebody, where it's like, you know what, let's get rid of the gender neutral bathroom and we'll do a unicorn trigender, decagender with 10 different gender. Like, they'll literally do that and then turn to everyone else and Joe Biden and be like, if you don't do that, you're a sexist pig. And he has to listen because he's a leftist. Like, if you're a white male in the left, you have no choice. Either you bend over like Joe Biden and say, I'm sorry for everything, it's all my fault, you're right, and then you lose. You're, what people call cucking out. It's like you lost. You just threw in the towel for yourself. You can't win a game that makes absolutely no sense when it's based on skin color and you don't have the skin color. You lose, Joe Biden. You lose, Bernie Sanders. I don't know what you thought was going to happen. Oh, well, the establishment, the revolution's good. No, Bernie, you say the same 6 things on loop, and you're ushering in an ideology and a mentality that is going to crush you and all your supporters again. So now your supporters lose again. They get rigged again. They get hated on again because they're supporting Tulsi Gabbard and she's not going to win. You lose, Bernie. Because of your skin color, you're supporting the whole ideology. It's ridiculous. And there's people like Morning Joe and even people on CNN now are starting to report the truth because they're in a pickle. They're like, even I know this is insane. Like, Joe Biden's like, dude, this is the maybe I'll go to that because it's pretty funny. Morning Joe's trying to say, listen, we're getting crazy over here, and no one wants to listen to him because he's built an audience that's literally ridiculous. So I'm going to read Joe's tweet, and then I'm going to read all his responses. You almost feel bad for him, but not really because of all the stuff he's lied about. So Joe said this: Democrat candidates, you now support universal health care for illegal immigrants, making illegally crossing America's border legal, and a return to forced busing. Do you also now support the banning of Betsy Ross flag in public places, which, by the way, was at Obama's inauguration or speech, whatever speech this is? So it's like, they're such liars. All of this stuff, all of the cages, all of this, it was all during the Obama administration when it was brought in. And also, it's not a luxury resort. They illegally broke into the country, and we're running out of room to where to put them. So this is so evil what the media does. They promote and incentivize illegal crossings. They say, come here, we'll give you free health care. Trust me, you're the best. We hate people in our own country, but we'll protect you. We'll give you lawyers. We'll give you money. We'll give you health care. We'll give you freedom. We'll give you citizenship and pass the tens of hundreds of millions of people waiting to come here the right way. So they bring more people. Of course, we're having an influx of people. The Democratic media and the candidates are literally promoting and incentivizing it. They ignore human trafficking, so they don't talk about the 80% of women and young girls who are getting raped across the border. They don't talk about all of the decimation that happens before they even get to the border, and the fact that even Border Patrol saves a lot of people sometimes. I'm not saying they're perfect, but It's not like we're the enemy because we don't know what to do with all these people that you're bringing. And then there's people trying to pass bills like, hey, let's get more money so we can actually build more facilities. We don't have enough. We're making them as we go along. They won't vote for that stuff. So they won't solve the problem. They create the problem. They scream and lie about it. It's evil. It's pure evil. Live backwards is evil. And that's what they are. It's pure evil. And Joe Scarborough realizes that. He's like, what are you doing? Read some of the comments. He said, You're giving universal health care for illegal immigrants. You're making illegally crossing to America's border legal and return to forced busing. And now you don't like Betsy Ross's flag? Hashtag woke nation. He's making fun of them. Joe, Republicans support taking health care away from Americans, concentration camps, open racism, and the Confederacy. I know who I support. So, oh my God, Joe, they're racist, sexist, xenophobes. Even though it was the Democratic Party that did KKK racism. This is on the History Channel. It's ridiculous. Did someone hijack Joe's Twitter account? It's very important that we stop pretending like Joe Scarborough are sensible, honest adults. In 2016, idiots like Joe fueled the insanity that led to the Trump win. The man who told us how great Trump was when he wasn't spouting racism and hatred, think we should listen to him. Everybody, it's pretty early, but I'll go instead and name this the most intellectually dishonest tweet of the day. Congrats, Joe. So they're saying, some people are saying it's dishonest. Some people are saying, well, they have concentration camps, which is not even true. It's insanity. But Joe, the reason I'm talking about this is what I've said for a year, 2 years now, and this time is coming quicker than a lot of us thought. The Democratic Party split into two. As far as on the systemic level, there's the mainstream corporate establishment like the Hillary Clintons, the Joe Scarboroughs and such, who are, just lying but trying to be moderate when it's like they'll do anything. They'll flip back and forth. The Bidens, I did this, but I'll do this now. I'll do whatever you want me to do. And then there's the radical progressive wing, and they have an agenda. Free universal health care, which is, I get it, it sounds nice. Everyone gets health care. Raising taxes, giving the federal government entire power and control over health care, which is awful. And then also, you're now giving it to illegal immigrants. The only way that this would work is if everyone was working, everyone was paying into it, and it really worked well. Not if you're going to let 30, 20, 50 million illegal immigrants get illegal. It's so bizarre. But then they have this agenda. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the world is going to end in 12 years, just like they said in 1980 and 1970 and 1990. And she doesn't even read the NASA climate change reports like I do. And they say, well, actually, it's not really what we said it was. The point I'm getting to is they actually have something. They have something they're clinging on to. The establishment, Joe Scarborough left and Joe Biden left, they have nothing. They're like grasping at you lost. You lose. You lied, and now you're trying to figure out what to do. You lose. Joe Scarborough, I'm sorry, you lose. Joe Biden, you lose. Bernie, you're going to lose because of your skin color. But overall, that's the crossroads that they're at. And it's going to be interesting to see, and I've kind of known this was going to happen, but now you have CNN and even NBC, they're starting to play more moderate because they're like, this is not what we wanted, but this is what you get when you feed into that ideology. And that's what I always say, of course, policy matters. Yes, that's what they're writing down. That's the laws that are being passed. But if you don't understand the ideology and psychology besides humanity, behind humanity, none of it matters. Like if you want to give free healthcare, yeah, that sounds good as an idea. But if you don't understand how taxes work, if you don't understand how incentivization works, as far as welfare states like California, where they have free healthcare and they'll give you this and that, and all, it's great. Yeah, when you're in a pinch, it's awesome. But overall, now you have the highest poverty. You have a homelessness situation that's growing out of control. It's because when you incentivize certain things and you tax the working class and you give all the power to the federal or state government, these type of stuff happens almost every time. It's almost never worked, if never worked. I think it could probably work in a smaller situation, but the United States is far too big, and I don't really think it's a good ideology anyway. But the ideology of victim mentality, like I talk to my progressive friends sometimes and I love them, but it's like, if you think that this stuff's going to work, it's obviously not going to work. But don't you think that you should not play this weird like racial game, or don't you think you should have a little border security, like a little bit of common sense, a little bit of security, a little bit of strength, a little bit of reason, like not just all identity politics and emotions and Bernie Sanders talking points where he's told his people for 2 years, because I even had a debate with someone who was just screaming at me like unhinged, like rabid, drooling. And I was like, dude, he's going to raise taxes. No, he's not. He's not going to. It's going to save it. It's not going to raise. He screamed at me because it's like, reality hitting, he didn't know what to do. Bernie Sanders got pinned. They asked him at the debate. He didn't answer. They asked him. He didn't answer. They said, for a third time, Bernie, is this going to raise taxes? He said, it's going to raise taxes, but it's going to save another way. He finally had to admit, because he was asked he's never admitted that. So his supporters think it's not. Of course it's going to raise taxes. And that's the big lie, is like, well, we're going to save you money by taking your money. Dude, stop taking my money. You want to save me money? Go full Ron Paul and don't take $30,000 from me, $20,000 from me a year, $10,000, $40,000 from. Don't take the taxes, and then people will have $40,000 so they can use it on their health. Don't take the money, take the money, take the money, take the money. Give someone a health plan that they won't need. Now that's in the hands of federal government, so if it doesn't work, you're screwed. You can't go to private insurance. That's what a lot of them want to do. That's not helping, but that's what happens. And the point I'm getting to is the left ideology is majorly flawed. It's majorly downward spiraling. And I knew this was going to happen. I have tweets that are aging very well from January, where it's like Kamala's going to be the choice because of her skin color and gender and her connections. You know, white people have no chance in the Democratic Party. Why would you, unless you bend over and like you're gonna eat yourself alive. It's like you're on a chopping chain where you're like, no, I'm gonna win. How foolish do you have to be a white man in the Democratic Party and think that you're somehow going to end up on top? It's legitimately bananas, and it's just an interesting phenomenon that's happening, seeing a lot of these mainstream left guys being like, which way do I go? You know, do I go all the way? Do I go back? Do I start telling the truth? You got a lot of truth to tell. You told a lot of lies, so if you want to get on the side of truth, you have to distance yourself completely. And I know a lot of them are feeling it because they know at the deep down, the bottom of their hearts, that the AOC Bernie Sanders wave is coming fast, and it's a total lie. I mean, even a lot of these senators and governors know it because they get the money, and if they don't get the tax money, if they raise to 75%, and then all the wealthy people leave because no wealthy person is going to want to pay 75% taxes, then they go somewhere else. Like Bernie says, the 1% pays the 50% of the tax. Like, yeah, Bernie, so that means if you raise taxes, if that many people own that much stuff and are paying that much taxes, if 3 of those people leave, now your taxes go down there. Now the working class has to pay 2 times as much, Bernie. That's basic math and economics, but they don't think of that stuff. They just think it's all going to flow naturally. But before Trump, that's what happened. People are going overseas. He lowered taxes. Yes, it might be annoying sometimes, and you might not save as much as you think you did, but people actually start coming back to the U.S. like, oh, I'm not going to have to pay $20 million in taxes. And yes, I think that Amazon should pay taxes. So does Bernie, so does Tucker Carlson, so does Trump. But overall, that's the scoop on the Democratic Party. They're collapsing, and the establishment, just like I predicted, they don't know which way to turn. And it's hard to really feel bad for them at this point, but it'll definitely be intriguing to see the debates and see whether someone somewhat reasonable like a Tulsi Gabbard can get through, or if it's just going to be the Kamala situation where that's just the cards they picked and they're running with it. But I don't think it's going to work either way. Let me know your thoughts. Sorry if today seemed a little off. I got my foot. I can't walk, and I have my foot up, so I'm kind of leaning back. I'm in a weird position, and I've been resting and sleeping a lot, not being able to work out or do anything. So I wanted to get this stream done, and I'm going to edit it. It's going to take a while in that department too. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. I'm speaking to Facebook for those who care because I know there's a lot of supporters on Facebook. I'm having a conversation with their team now. I'll let you know in the next week. Just give me a week or two on that note because I really am a little behind on schedule, and I don't want to overdo it. I want to just rest and heal up full. And I'm working on an event in Los Angeles, hopefully to take across the whole country. Very unique, very different. A lot of people weren't booking me for events that I should be speaking at, so I'm like, we'll do our own, and we'll make it better, more interesting, more unique, and less boring. So that's what we're gonna do. Keep an eye out for news and that in the next couple weeks. So thank you guys for watching. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm going to have merch within a few weeks too. I just have to get my business bank account set up, and I can't walk. So I'm like I said, I'm 2 weeks behind. It's annoying because I had a lot to do, but it's okay. It could be worse. So thank you guys. I'll be back.